Y'all get decent, I'm coming in. Y'all ain't here laying around some... What the fuck?
It's not what it looks like. We're gonna kill every last one of you. I'll be back soon, Slim!
They're coming in, you gotta get ready. Come on.
The movie begins just after sunrise. Sammy, a guitarist, arrives outside his father's church. His disheveled appearance suggests a rough night, but the claw marks on his face point to something far more violent. Everything started the day before, when his older cousins, known as the Smokestack Twins, returned to town. These two are well-known and charismatic, with a bold plan to convert an old sawmill into a juke joint. Their goal? Make it the most popular spot in Clarksdale. But this is Mississippi in 1932, and local resistance is guaranteed. A powerful landowner named Hogwood tries to shut them down. That is, until the twins make it clear they're not just carrying cash. He backs off quickly. Sammy is scheduled to perform guitar at the juke joint's grand opening that night. He looks up to his cousins who have seen success in Chicago. But Smokey reminds him that racism and power struggles exist everywhere, and that Chicago is just Mississippi with tall buildings. The team splits up to prepare for the evening. Smoke drives into town to get supplies, leaving Sammy to ride with Stack. Their mission? Reunite the band. Stack handles logistics, but Smoke provides protection. Having fought together in the trenches of war, Smoke is fully equipped to handle whatever challenges Clarksdale throws their way. Noticing that the street is unusually busy, Smoke pays a neighborhood girl to watch his truck. Within minutes of entering the store, he hears her laying on the horn. He rushes out and spots two small-time thieves stealing his beer. Without hesitation, he pulls out his gun and shoots one of them in the rear. When the man turns around, it becomes clear they know each other. He immediately becomes apologetic, realizing he picked the wrong person to steal from. Still, his partner isn't as lucky. Smoke shoots him in the knee. Smoke knows he can't risk anyone spreading word that someone almost robbed the twins. He returns to the store and pays Bo Chow, the owner and his close friend, to make sure the injured men get medical attention. With a party planned for tonight, food and drinks are already taken care of. The only thing missing is a sign, and Bo's wife Grace agrees to create one. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, Sammy and Stack head to the train station. There they find Delta Slim, a well-known local performer. Slim values his time and initially refuses to abandon his regular nightclub gig, but with an offer of double his usual pay and unlimited Irish beer, he agrees to perform at the twins' juke party. Moments later, he's already jamming with Sammy, drawing a crowd as if they've been playing together for years. As the crowd gathers, Stack promotes the upcoming event at the old sawmill, promising more music, drinks, partying, and gambling. Before they leave, Preacher Boy spots a familiar face, Perline, a popular local singer. He introduces himself, only to find out she's married. Still, he makes his move. Nearby, Stack's flashy presence attracts unwanted attention from Mary, an ex who's furious he ghosted her after going off to war. He brushes it off, pretending their relationship wasn't serious, but deep down he still cares. Their next stop is a cotton field where they find Cornbread, a respected community figure working hard. Though he doesn't know it yet, he's about to be the bouncer for tonight's event. Stack works his charm, and it doesn't take long before Cornbread is on board. Smoke returns to town for a long overdue personal matter. After finishing his business, he visits his estranged wife, Annie, for the first time in years. Their marriage fell apart after the death of their infant daughter, which led Smoke to abandon his beliefs in favor of money and power. Annie, however, still practices the old traditions and believes her prayers have kept the twins safe. Smoke knows he's been wrong and has finally built up the courage to apologize. But tonight, Annie's faith will be put to the test. Meanwhile, at a remote farmhouse, a disheveled man suddenly drops from the sky, fleeing something behind him. His back is covered in blistered skin, and his body sizzles until he escapes the sunlight. He tells the couple inside that he's being hunted by a group of Choctaw Indians and offers gold coins for protection. Minutes later, the hunters arrive. Their leader warns Joan that time is running out, but she refuses to listen and sends them away. As night falls, the hunters disappear into the shadows. Joan heads back inside, only to find the house silent. The only sound is a creaking, rocking chair. In the back room, she discovers the stranger with blood on his mouth and her husband lying face down. Her husband suddenly rises, now with sharp, fang-like teeth, and lunges toward her as she screams. At Club Juke, the twins run into immediate problems. Smoke insists on accepting only real cash, while guests try to use outdated plantation coins. Stack argues they need to tolerate it to keep the crowd happy. While they're distracted, Mary arrives looking for her cousin. Sammy tries to remove her, but learns that Mary's mother raised both twins as her own. Eventually, Stack intervenes, not because he wants to throw her out, but because he's secretly in love with her. He knows pushing her away is the only way to protect her. With the crowd now energized by Delta Slim's performance, Sammy steps on stage and begins playing a song dedicated to his father. The music is so powerful it sparks a spiritual reaction. Sammy's ancestors, both past and future, appear, adding their own music to the event. The atmosphere shifts, creating what feels like a portal through time. Outside, a vampire and his new followers are drawn to the performance. They're intrigued by the spiritual energy and recognize Sammy's unique talent. The vampire quickly decides he wants that power for himself. Cornbread immediately senses trouble when he spots the three outsiders approaching. He sends for the twins. The group's leader introduces himself as Remick, claiming they're a traveling band from North Carolina looking for a hot meal. Aware of the social implications of letting white strangers into a black function, the doormen hesitate. Remick offers money and insists on entering. But when Smoke pulls a gun, Remick backs off, saying they'll wait by the road if the decision changes. Stack believes they made a mistake by turning away paying guests, but his brother understands the risk. Letting them in could jeopardize everyone's safety. Despite the large crowd on the dance floor, the twins are barely making money. Most guests are paying with plantation credits. Financially, they're running out of time. Mary then realizes the twins originally made their money by robbing rival gangs in Chicago, specifically stealing beer from Irish gangs and wine from Italians. That makes the nightclub's success critical. Knowing the outsiders might trust her more, Mary volunteers to speak with them. Stack agrees and gives her a pistol for protection. Mary soon finds the men nearby, playing music on a log. She cuts straight to business, asking to see their money. Instead of cash, they hand her solid gold coins. Immediately suspicious, Mary notices Remick's eyes start glowing as he leans in to bite her. She reacts quickly, draws her weapon, and warns him off. But as she turns to leave, the vampire attacks, catching her off guard. Now under the vampire's control, Mary returns to the party unnoticed. Cornbread, unaware of what's happened, lets her in without hesitation. Delta Slim steps outside for a break, so Cornbread takes the opportunity to step away and relieve himself. He walks down the road for some privacy, but is suddenly ambushed by a figure with glowing eyes. Back inside, Mary pulls Stack away from the crowd. At the same time, Smoke sends Sammy to find Stack to help break up a fight. When they reach the room, they find Mary attacking Stack, biting into his throat. Covered in blood, Mary looks up as they enter. Without hesitation, Smoke fires multiple shots into her chest, only saving one bullet. The crowd goes silent. Then, Mary stands up, laughs, and walks off into the night, unaffected by the gunfire. Smoke rushes to Stack, but his injuries are fatal. Smoke tells his brother he loves him as Stack dies. Delta Slim tells everyone to leave, not realizing he's sending them into danger. The group is still processing what just happened. Annie speaks with Sammy and learns that Mary said, "We are going to kill all of you." That confirms Annie's suspicion that they were attacked by a supernatural entity, possibly a haint. She suggests moving Stack's body outside, but Smoke refuses. Meanwhile, Grace tells Bo it's time to return to town, reminding him their daughter is waiting. Bo steps outside to get the car. With Smoke refusing to move Stack's body, Annie locks it in the closet and asks Sammy to stay and watch it. Cornbread then returns, acting unaware of what's happened. Annie quickly realizes something is off. Cornbread won't enter the barn unless invited. No one is willing to let him in. Just as he turns to leave, he demands payment. Smoke pulls out money and reaches forward. The vampire grabs his arm and pulls him outside. Smoke manages to fire a shot into its face, but he's now exposed and lying outside the barn's protection. Annie pulls Smoke back inside just before Cornbread attacks again. She slams the door shut, trapping the vampire outside. The group is shaken, but the situation gets worse when they hear knocking from the closet. It's Stack. He tries to convince Smoke to let him out, claiming he's fine. No one believes him. As his frustration grows, Stack breaks down the door and tackles Sammy. Annie returns just in time and throws a jar of pickled garlic at Stack. It hits his face, burning him. He retreats in pain. Annie tells the others that Remick and his group are vampires. Grace wants to search for her husband, but the group convinces her to stay inside until sunrise. Annie takes charge, instructing everyone to gather supplies. She explains that vampires can only be killed by sunlight or a stake through the heart. Smoke asks if killing Remick will save Stack, but Annie confirms that once someone is turned, they're lost. She makes Smoke promise to do the same for her if she's ever infected. While gathering supplies, Perline discovers a body they hadn't noticed. They drag it outside to prevent another attack. Concerned that a vampire might still be among them, Annie comes up with a test. She passes around garlic and has everyone take a bite. Delta Slim is the last in line. He chokes on the garlic but blames it on Irish beer. They begin to doubt their suspicions. Returning to where the body was found, they realize it wasn't blood, it was wine. The man wakes up outside and begs to be let in. Believing he was just unconscious, they open the door. Cornbread attacks immediately, biting the man's neck. Just then, Grace's husband Beau emerges from the shadows and tells her it's time to leave. Seeing that intimidation isn't working, Remick steps in. He offers peace, if they let him inside. If not, he threatens to target Grace's daughter, who is alone at the grocery store. To prove he knows her, he speaks in Chinese, referencing memories only Beau would recognize. The vampires now share memories. Remick makes an offer. They only want Sammy, whose music allows him to connect to the spirit world. Remick wants to use that power to see his ancestors. If they hand over Sammy, the rest can live. The group refuses. The group knows someone might break soon. The tension leaves Smoke rattled. Grace, however, is ready to fight. She refuses to wait and risk more lives. But as the group hesitates, they hear the vampires outside, chanting the melody of "Pick Poor Robin Clean," as they begin surrounding the building. Grace covers her eyes, trying to shut out her husband's voice, but the singing continues inside her head. Reaching her limit, she grabs a wooden stake from the table and runs for the door. Smoke realizes what she's about to do and tries to stop her.
Come on in, you motherfucker!
How you doing?
All hell breaks loose. The survivors brace for impact as Remick enters. Grace throws a Molotov cocktail at him, but he knocks it aside. Vampires charge into the room. Grace tackles her husband into the fire and drives a stake into his heart. Both of them are consumed by the flames. Her friends can't reach her in time. Annie sprays the vampire leader with garlic water. The other vampires react to his pain. She turns to tell Smoke, but his brother attacks her, biting deep into her neck. Perrine shoots the vampire, but Annie is already dying. Smoke rushes to her, realizes she's turning and stakes her through the chest to stop the transformation. Delta Slim grabs Smoke, pulls him to his feet, and urges the others upstairs. He stays behind to distract the vampires. They swarm him, but his sacrifice buys the others time to escape. Just as the survivors reach the loft, Remick and Stack burst in. Remick targets Sammy while the twins fight each other. Outnumbered and cornered, Sammy's cousins tell him to run. He jumps from a second-story window and limps toward the road, but Remick catches up, grabs him by the shoulder and hurls him into a nearby lake. Back inside, the twins are still locked in a violent fight. Stack eventually gains the upper hand and tries to bite his brother's throat, but he's stopped by one of the protective charms his wife gave him. This gives Smoke an opening to counterattack and reach for his stake. As the vampire prepares to finish them off, Sammy begins reciting the Lord's Prayer. The words distract Remick by reminding him of the trauma tied to his past. While reciting, Sammy slowly reaches for his guitar and smashes it over Remick's head. The silver resonator embeds deep in the vampire's skull. It's nearly fatal, but not enough. At the last second, Smoke drives a stake through Remick's heart, finally killing him. As dawn breaks, sunlight hits the trees, igniting the vampire horde. Their leader is consumed in a fiery whirlwind, reduced to ash. Only Smoke and Sammy survive. Smoke makes Sammy promise to live a quiet life. Sammy takes the car and drives back to his father's church, the same place we saw at the start. Smoke, however, isn't done yet. Hogwood and his crew arrive expecting an ambush, but Smoke is waiting in the tree line. He opens fire with a high-powered rifle, killing most of them instantly. He throws a grenade into a fleeing truck, taking out the rest, but he's hit in the process, suffering a fatal gut wound. Before dying, he finds Hogwood, wounded in the dirt, and finishes him off. As he bleeds out, he sees a vision of Annie and their baby daughter, welcoming him to the afterlife. Decades pass. Sammy becomes a successful musician. Now an old man at the end of his career, he's at the club one night when the bouncer lets in unexpected guests, Stack and Mary. Stack was the only vampire Smoke spared, on the condition he leaves Sammy alone. Now, years later, they offer Sammy eternal life, but Sammy declines. He's content with the life he lived. Stack admits he and Mary have collected all of Sammy's music, except for the electric guitar tracks. Curious, he asks if Sammy still has it in him. Sammy surprises them with his father's fully restored guitar. After playing one final song, he says goodbye to Stack and Mary. Before they part, he asks Stack if he still remembers that day at Club Juke. Stack pauses and says he'll never forget. It was the last day he saw his brother, the last time he saw the sun. And for a brief moment, everyone was free. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because every story has a sequel, and you won't want to miss the next one. Thanks for watching.